So, what makes Pilates amazing? Not the moves, but how you do the moves. And how you do the moves is based on a set of movement principles and core principles. So, the core principles are your Pilates alphabet, right? You can't make words without letters. You can't make Pilates moves without the core principles. So, I'm going to go through the core principles as I learned them, as they make sense to me, and as how I teach them. And there are certain exercises that overtly exemplify those core principles. So we're going to do them one at a time, and then I might get him to do a couple exercises that layer them. We'll just see how far he's willing to go before he punks out. All right, so we're going to start lying on our backs. Lie on your back, all over lie on your back. And we're going to find a neutral pelvic position. Everything starts from neutral pelvic position, neutral spine position. So it doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are. We're going to use your skeleton to determine where that neutral pelvic position is. So Oliver's going to palpate his hip points, the bones right and left at the top of his pelvis, and scoot your hands down and find your pubic bone at the base of the front of your pelvis. And those three bones are going to orient parallel to each other. So when you're lying on the floor, either face up or face down, those three bones are parallel to the floor. When you're seated like me, those are going to be perpendicular to the floor, parallel to the wall in front of you, and so on and so forth. All right, so that's your neutral pelvic position. You want to always start in a relaxed position, so his head is relaxed, the heels are relaxed. Because you guys are dancers, or I'm assuming most dancers are watching this, we don't want to allow you to just fall into your turnout, so just rotate your legs parallel, and you're going to feel the inside of the back of the heel anchor itself into the mat, and then you're going to rest your hands on your lower belly, and we're going to start with some deep belly breathing. So deep belly breathing is actually how you're not going to breathe during Pilates, but I like to do it as a way to differentiate good to bad or bad to good, and also just to give you a moment to get into your body. So hands rest on the lower abdomen. You're going to take a deep breath in and send the breath under your hand. So push my hand away, and then as you exhale, let the air just seep out, the ribs and abdomen soften. Again, inhale and deep belly breath in, push your belly up, and exhale, soften the belly down. Let's do that one more time. So inhale, and then breathe out. All right, so we don't want to distend your abdomen every time you inhale because your abdominals are in front. And if you distend them, then they're not going to be working for you. So instead, we're going to breathe intercostally. So he's going to keep his hands here, and I want you to feel nothing under your hands as you inhale, and instead send the breath into the rib cage, expanding it three-dimensionally. And then kind of like you're blowing up a balloon, you're going to exhale actively. You're going to feel the ribs come down and in, and then you're going to feel the belly button pull away from your hands towards the mat. So inhale without distending the abdomen, and then blow the air out. Exhale to engage the abdominals. One more time. Inhale, the ribs stretch, blow the air out, and pull the ribs down. All right, so every exhalation engages your abdominals, every inhalation does not relax them. So using that breath, we're going to go into some shoulder differentiation. The idea that as the arms move, the motion of the arms does not affect your rib cage or your spine. And so he's going to start with his arms up towards the ceiling. Palms are facing each other. Take a breath into the rib cage without distending the abdomen. And as you exhale, you're going to send both arms overhead. We're going to rotate the palms to face the ceiling. And you're using your exhalation to make sure that as the weight of the arms go up, the ribs stay down. And repeat. Inhale up. And then exhale, arms reach overhead. See how his sternum and belly button drops? It's good. Inhale, lift your arms up. Good job, Oliver. Exhale, arms overhead. Back to the neck stays long. And one more time, inhale to lift, and make sure you're not tucking your pelvis. Keep your tail weighted. Exhale, arms reach overhead. Good, lift the arms up, and then lower the arms down by your side. Same idea, different body part. We're gonna do the same thing at your hip joints. So he's gonna start with his legs in tabletop. Hips and knees are flexed at 90 degrees, and this is in no way a passive position, so it's not like hanging out, right? When we reach the knees over the heads of the femur bones, his pelvis is still neutral. Shins are parallel to the floor. I like a flexed foot because it just extends the arc. So you're going to breathe in to prepare. And then as you exhale, pull your abdomen in and extend the left hip angle until the heel gently taps the floor. So he's not extending his knee, but he's extending his hip. And then inhale to return. Other side, exhale to move your right knee away from you. And as you do that, the distance from the ribs to the pelvis stays the same. Again, exhale Blow the air out, pull your belly button in, extend the hip, inhale to return. Other side, exhale to extend right, and then return. Let's combine those. Reach your arms up, take a breath in. As you exhale, extend the left hip and send both arms overhead. So 2 arms and 1 leg, and inhale to return. Other side, exhale both arms, right hip extends, and breathe in. 1 more time each side, exhale. So if you're doing it correctly and with so much intent on doing it correctly, it doesn't take a lot to initiate and establish an effect. Okay, so breathe in and rest. Lower the feet and lower the arms down by your side. All right, I like using balls or blocks just because with dancers tend to roll to the outside of the feet when we're bridging the hips up. So I'm going to use a block and place it between his knees. Also for people with tight IT bands, pulling their knees all the way together makes them very angry at me because their IT bands are tight. So to put a block or a ball between your knees keeps your legs in parallel. And so the heels are going to come in a little closer to the sit bones. For me, we're going to bridge up in neutral. So that means the tail stays heavy, and instead of tucking your tail under, we're going to push your feet down into the floor, and he's going to inhale as his hips rise. Just being careful not to distend the abdomen, squeeze the block, and then we're going to curl the spine down, actively curling the spine down, not collapsing. And repeat that. So inhale to bridge up, and then exhale to curl down. So our goal is to engage the hamstrings as hip extensors to get the hips up versus squeezing the glutes or overusing the back. So the initiation is the feet pushing down and curl the spine down. 1 more time. And inhale, push into your feet, and then just check yourself. Make sure you're not overusing your arms. Just lift your arms 1 inch off the mat, and then more of the work should go into the backs of the legs and curl all the way down. Find your neutral pelvic position. Let's keep the arms 1 inch off the floor. Now we're going to flex the upper spine. So how do you pick the head, neck, and shoulders up? You're going to take a breath in. As you exhale, you're going to start by lengthening the back of the neck. Send your gaze towards the front of the room, and then it's a downward rotation of the rib cage. Inhale to lower back down. So without tucking. So the tail stays weighted. Squeeze the block or squeeze your knees together. Curl through the upper spine. And then inhale to lower. And your goal is to work through the greatest range of motion without compromising the integrity of the exercise. So don't come all the way up just because he can do it if you're tucking your tail under, right? So breathe in. How high you can come up, blow the air out is a function of how strong you are in the front and how flexible the back of your thorax is. And inhale. 1 more time. Exhale, reach the fingers to the heels, and then inhale to lower. Yeah, so let's pull your legs into tabletop. I'm not going to go through spinal extension. We'll do that tomorrow, but we're just going to do a little combination. So you're going to breathe in. As you exhale, you're in a neutral pelvic position. You're going to flex the upper spine using an active exhalation, and he's going to take his right arm up as he breathes in, and exhale, press down. Inhale, left arm lifts. And exhale 1 more time. Each arm, inhale right, and breathe out. So he's differentiating at his shoulder joints as his arm moves. Good. Both arms 4 times. Breathing in and exhale. So his arms are going up, but his ribs are not falling back away from his pelvis. 2 more times. Inhale and blow. 1 more time. Inhale, lift. Good. Now we're going to add some legs. Right arm goes up, left heel taps. Inhale and breathe out. And because his spine is rounded, he's going to breathe not so intercostally and expansive of the rib cage, but more into the back and sides of the rib cage. So that's called posterior lateral breath. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Good. Last 4. Both arms, both hips. Inhale. And whenever we add more body parts, it adds more weight, right? So it means it's a little bit harder. So you have to focus on perfect form. Don't ever do it without perfect form. 1 more time. Inhale. And good, lower your feet, lower your head, and yeah, how was that?
Hard.
Right, if you do it correctly, it's challenging, right? Less is more integrity, more work, less bad effort, all right? So that's what we're doing today. Try it at home, work on it, and let me know what you think. Say bye, Oliver.